Wisconsini's coverage of Campaign 2014 is being brought to you by the Wisconsin Hospital Association. For over 90 years, a valued voice supporting Wisconsin hospitals in communities like yours.
Wisconsini's coverage of the 2014 elections continues with an interview with Mr. David Considine of Baraboo. He's a Democrat running in the 81st Assembly District. And just this footnote, Wisconsinite thanks the Wisconsin Hospital Association for helping make these interviews possible. Mr. Considine, welcome to Wisconsinite.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, did you tell me before the show started this is your last day of school? Can you explain that?
Yes, this was my last day of school. Checked out at noon.
And you taught where and
I taught
who?
at the Jack Young Middle School in Baraboo, Wisconsin. That's 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And I taught students labeled emotionally, behaviorally disordered.
Taught special ed students?
Yes.
Wow. And how long had you been doing that, sir?
I'd done that for 29 years. And were it not for really feeling like I wanted to do this assembly thing when Fred Clark announced his retirement, I would still be there.
Was today your last day for your teaching career?
Yes.
Oh, you're retiring?
Yes.
Okay. Well, have you run for public office before or hold
No.
any office now?
No, I have not, and I don't hold any public offices now.
Well, how did you decide to, Mr. Clark retired, Representative Clark retired, so you decided, I'm going to get in this. Why?
I met with a group of Democrats, and because I was invited, and they asked me, asked the group of us they formulated a list of what would make the best candidate for the Democratic Party in that group's opinion. And at the end of that meeting, a whole bunch of names were thrown on the board. Mine was one of them. So I gave it some serious thought. One of the things I took away from the meeting is as a farmer with a background in farming, as a conservationist and outdoorsman, I own one of the first farms to have a conservation plan in Columbia and Sauk County, and still live there. As a school teacher, I've been president of the Baraboo Education Association a couple of times, and very active in that in the last 15 years of my career. And I just chose to, I looked at the qualifications, and I wasn't a woman, and I wasn't Native American, and I didn't have medical background. But other than that, I fit a lot of the qualifications that were thrown on the board. They wanted a long-time resident of the district, and I've lived there for 40 years. And so I thought, I'm going to consider this.
How do you like this running for the first time thing?
I'm learning a lot, and it's a lot of fun. It really is. I loved knocking on doors. I like that.
Let me ask this, since you're a career teacher. How did your school, or how has the profession changed? Legacy of Act 10, passed in 2011, sir.
It's changed significantly.
How so?
I think, well, funding has just gotten really short. From my perspective, school districts, well, all the referendums showed that. School districts cut the fat out of their budgets a long time ago. And they're starting to cut the muscles and bones of our children's education, really. And especially in rural areas. There was the rural school study that the legislature did, and I think that was pretty accurate. And rural schools are really, really suffering, partially because of Act 10, partially because of economic reasons and other things, but they're suffering, and so many schools had to go to referendum.
A big issue in the Capitol has been school choice and school vouchers. Now, they went statewide with a cap on enrollment of 1,000. Your position on vouchers, should they stay statewide? Should they be cut back, sir?
I would like to see them cut back, and here's why.
Eliminated or cut back?
At least cut back.
Would you take them back to City of Milwaukee and
I would take
Racine?
them back to charter schools that were run by the school districts. I'm really in favor of local control. I think we've taken too much control at the state level and in the area of education. And if the local school district has the need to set up a charter school and supervises that with the same accountability, I think those are awesome. Okay. One of my frustrations with vouchers is that it takes away choice from public school children. Every dollar we spend on vouchers is a dollar that our local school boards don't have to fund public education. We have always in this nation had private and parochial schools that have done a great job.
Okay.
But I think it's public education that has really made our nation great, when everybody was educated and not just a few. And I worry that we're going down the wrong road and not going to give everybody a quality education.
A lot of debate over Common Core standards. Do you support them, sir?
I certainly do. I think one of the problems with the Common Core is their association with high stakes testing. And again, those two things don't go together. High stakes testing really doesn't have anything to do with Common Core. Common Core is a world standard developed by teachers, educational professionals, to help us know if our students are measuring up on a world-class level, because our kids are competing in a worldwide economy. I fully support those. The other thing that's great about them is they don't prescribe how we have to get our children to those standards. They allow the local school district, the local teacher, to decide this is how we're going to get our kids there. And I think that's the kind of thing that we need to have. Again, it's going back to local control, knowing that our local school boards, the professionals in the system, know what they're doing.
Governor Walker and leaders of the Senate and Assembly did not accept the federal money to expand MMA health care benefits. Do you think that was a wise or a not so wise choice?
I think that was not a very wise choice.
You would have voted to take the federal money?
I would have. Those are Wisconsin taxpayer dollars, either now or they will be. I know that we run on deficit budgets, but I believe in community. And when we leave a piece of our community behind, when we leave the poor people behind us, our whole communities suffer. And that's why I think we needed to take that. We need to take care of all of our community, whether it's the poor, the aged, senior citizens, or veterans. We need to take care of the whole community.
Okay. There's a projected $650 million deficit in the next biennial budget in transportation. Would you delay highway projects, or do you think some taxes ought to be raised to fix that shortfall, Mr. Considine?
What I think is we have to do some, we have to fund them in a different way. Okay, I think one of the things that we've done in the past, and it was a Democratic administration that did it, I think, was remove the indexing of the gas tax. I'm not sure whether that hurt us after 2008 or whether it was a wash.
Yes.
But that makes the truckers who are using our road and going through our states, it makes the tourists going through our state, it helps them help to pay for our roads. That's one thing we can do long term. That's not going to take care of the short term. I think we need to be taking out long-term bonds. Infrastructure lasts 40 to 50 years, according to most engineers I talk to. The average homeowner, if they're going to go buy a washing machine, they pay for it out of the annual budget. If they're going to buy a house that's a 30-year amortization, they're going to pay for it with a long-term loan. And I think our government should be doing the same.
Thank you. Recently, the federal Judge Crabb held that same-sex marriage ban in the state constitution is unconstitutional. Your reaction to that, sir?
I applauded it.
You did?
Yes, I applauded it.
Okay.
And continue to.
Two candidates for Attorney General think first-time drunken driving should be a crime and not our current traffic citation. Should it be a crime, sir?
I don't think so. And I would like to explain why. I'm a behavior specialist. That's what I did for 29 years in the public school system. Behavior doesn't change because we punish somebody. Behavior changes because we give them services and we help them. And we help them change their behavior. Taking away privileges because we make it a crime, because they made a mistake, I don't think is fair. But we do need to provide more behavioral services. And I know that is somewhat costly. I think it's less costly than third OWI or fourth incarcerating somebody. I think that's much cheaper, and we need to let our judges and let the human service and psychological services system, we need to encourage them and help them to take care of these and give them the education, the training, the treatment that they perhaps need. I know that over 50%, I think, is the statistic of fatality, of drunk driving fatalities are first-time offenders, and that is heinous. But punishment is not the way to correct and help behavior.
Okay. Just a couple more questions. One of them is the minimum wage is being debated both in Washington and in our capital. Should it be increased, sir?
It should be increased.
It should be.
It should be increased.
To what?
I think the suggestion of 1010 is the bare minimum. And the reason I think that is when that was enacted in the late 70s, we would only be accounting for inflation since the late 70s by moving it to 1010. Okay. And again, it's about community. How can we support someone and have our communities be alive and enriched when we're having somebody trying to live on $7 an hour?
Okay. My final question, sir, I want to give you a chance to highlight differences between you and your two opponents in the primary, if you choose to.
Yeah. The first one I mentioned earlier. I am a 40-year resident of the district, and my roots there go back deeper than that. My father graduated from Portage High School. My grandmother taught in a country school about 4 miles from where I currently live. My roots are deep. I think I understand the district very well. The broad spectrum of experiences that I alluded to earlier, the things that I've done, the posts that I've held, again, help me to understand the district. I live in the Baraboo Hills. I live on top of the Baraboo Bluffs. While I know that they want to preserve those things, I think I have a real special heart for that because I live in them and own them. Peter Vedro, I think Margot and Peter and I agree basically on almost everything.
Okay.
My work, at my retirement dinner just 2 nights ago, or at a retirement dinner, I was approached by some people, and one of them said, "We will miss you more than I can't name anybody who's retired since I've been in my job that we will miss more than you. You have this common sense, collaborative approach. You help all of us get things done." As BEA president, I endorsed by administration and school board because I worked so closely with them and tried to understand them. That's a big difference between Peter Vedro and I.
Okay.
And Margot, I think I have a different leadership style. I will reach across the aisle.
We will have to leave it at that. David Considine of Baraboo is a Democrat running in the 81st Assembly District. Mr. Considine, thanks for coming in to talk to Wisconsin Eye about your campaign.
Thank you.
Thank you.